April 13, 2026. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2002 chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. This is what it looked like from Friday. There's this big gap down. This is pretty much because more issues with the Middle East. I think this is because the Trump administration decided to blockade the Strait of Hormuz, and it was kind of announced in the weekend. It caused this big gap down, and the market actually recovered that big gap. Looked like it was moving up this gigantic gradual leg, and you could maybe argue it's like one leg sideways and the second leg. Pretty much a almost measured move. Let's go ahead and see. Pretty much to about right here to about right here. Almost made the measured move. I didn't take any trades today. I didn't really see any particular setup that I really liked. There were some almost trades that I marked, but there wasn't too much today that I found really appealing. Oops, didn't mean to move that. Actually, this red up channel doesn't really help. I did have it adjusted here because it looked like it confirmed the high side pretty well. Low side, you could say maybe this is the second and this is the third touch, but then it broke out. And I found this yellow up channel. So other than using this big red up channel as guidance, it doesn't really help as a key entry point. Going to get into the setups. Well, actually, I didn't really mark any setups today, just get into what I saw. So there's a big gap down, and I'm expecting prices probably to close the gap, and it almost did it in the pre-market. So it's like two legs down, push up, sideways, another push up, another sideways, kind of sold off, then pushed up. On the open, I mean, you could technically find second entries, but I'm trying to get a little bit better at not really counting these microsecond entries because they're not quite as reliable. They could still work out, but it's just a little more risky. So it hits the high side and also high of day. You do have a technical first entry long pullback, second entry long, but also looks like it's just one big leg. So I saw it more like first entry long pullback. This is your second entry long, but that's a terrible signal bar. It does have a nice follow through trigger bar, but it's below the EMA. So I'm looking for a higher low. The higher low shows up here, but it doesn't feel very safe because these candles are pretty neutral, followed by previous candles are also neutral. So I'm just leaving this stuff alone. Creates another localized high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long, but it's not the cleanest setup. This yellow up channel doesn't exist yet, so I can't really claim there's a key entry point here. So I'm looking for a higher low, and you don't really get a higher low because you want the higher low to pretty much show up here. It does kind of give you a higher low here, but this is so far removed from the setup, it's hard to associate this as this, associated with whatever's going on down here. Plus, it just recently made a high of day. So I don't want to buy into something like that. Break of the screen up channel, test the high. Looks like it has this big push down. It looks like it's a spike and then a channel down. Localized high, you have a first entry long pullback. You technically get a second entry long here, but I didn't really like this setup. I want a stronger close, so I'm looking for a higher low, but I'm looking for the higher low to show up relatively quickly, not way up here. So it needs to pretty much show up right here. And it doesn't, so then I'm just not thinking of taking any trade right now. Pushes to the high, makes another high of day. Looks like it's pushing down, and here it looks like two legs. Unfortunately, these two legs were pretty congested, and by the time the second leg closes here, I'm pretty reluctant to take a trade here. At this point, I do have this yellow up channel support side established. So I'm thinking, yes, it has one touch, two touch, three touch, four touch. This could be a fifth touch. High side is a little iffier, but it does confirm nicely here. But as you can see, after this one confirmation touch here, it's failing to hit the high side now. Not only is it failing to hit the high side, it's making low. I mean, these are higher highs, but each attempt to hit the high side is weaker than the previous. So this only has to close a gap here. This is a slightly bigger gap. And then this one actually is below the midline now. So it looks like buyers are running out of power. So when I get to here, second entry short, I'm not so sure prices are going to keep pushing up. And if you were to short right here on the visual second entry short, you'd be shorting right into this potential support. There's enough for a quick 1 point scalp, maybe 6 ticks, but I didn't really like it. I was looking for kind of like a higher low here, ideally here. So it'd be like a visual first entry short, second entry short, second entry short, failure of a higher low, but it doesn't show up. Then it presses down on what it looks like this orange down channel. And it looks like it's moving one leg up, pull back, second leg. This two legs looks very similar to this. But this is an even more ambiguous setup because here you could at least argue that it's bouncing off the key entry point of this yellow up channel. Here I have nothing. So again, I'm waiting. It pushes down. It looks like it's hitting maybe some support area here. Localized low. First entry short, pullback. Second entry short. It's a little far. It looks like it's two legs up. It might be coming back down. I didn't really like this. Then it hits the high side, creates a first entry long pullback. Second entry long. I was tempted to try to take this trade because I thought it's clear second entry long. The thing that stopped me was it looks like it's a two legs up. Now, is this actually two legs down? Is it really going to reverse up? Or was this actually just one leg coming back down? I since deleted, but it was something similar to this. I was thinking, okay, it's two legs down or maybe a big leg. Maybe it bounces up and it can come back down. So in real time, I'm seeing this. What also made me hesitate was there's this high of day right here. I already tried two times and I've since deleted it because it didn't really help. It was kind of messy, or what I had drawn was getting a little bit too messy. I was thinking I might be in this range. So if it's really in a range, then I'm expecting prices potentially to come back down. To see a second entry long here off a poor signal bar, it feels risky. But I was tempted to try to take something like that. Didn't mean to do that. Delete that. So I waited, and it never broke above this guy. So if I did try to enter early, let's say above this candle, I would have likely gotten stopped out right here. So this is a close call for a potential disaster on my end. The prices move up. It's another high of day, first entry long, and it just kind of keeps going up. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Stretch this in. Starts moving. It almost looks like it's a spike in a shallow channel because once these three confirmations occurred, so in real time I'm seeing something like this, I established this as a potential trend line, and then I drew the bottom side, and I thought this actually fit pretty well. It's kind of a shallow channel though, so that makes me a little more cautious. It has a failed breakout of this transparent up channel right now. It's not colored in yet because I don't fully trust it. So when it creates a failed breakout on this side, I'm expecting a failed breakout on this side. So it creates a first entry long. So it's actually one leg. I'm expecting a second leg. Kind of stops short here. It looks like it's bouncing. Then it looks like it pushes up. Visual first entry long, pullback, second entry long. You technically have a higher low here. I don't like this second entry long because I don't trust this support just yet. It's coming from a failed breakout. If this channel is actually in play, then I'm extra cautious because I'm expecting another failed breakout on this low side. So it doesn't quite happen. So there's no setup, no trade for me to chase. Well, no trade for me to try to take because I'm trying not to chase it. Then it starts moving down. So it looked like it was two legs, and I thought this might have just been one big leg pull back, and I'm expecting another leg down to potentially this measured move. So pushes down, pulls back up. Looks like it's almost like two legs. It creates and makes this measured move, but there's no setup here. Now it starts pushing back up. At this point, I established the potential that there could be a range here. So it looks like it fits the high side pretty well with the fail breakout here. I played with the idea that maybe the high of the range is here, but I wasn't too excited about this because then it doesn't look like a clean range. I'd only extend this up and confirm it if prices in the future actually come back up to this area and come back down. So at the time, I just treated it like a fail breakout, kind of kept it here. Fail breakout, maybe it's another tiny fail breakout here. It's a new low, first entry short, second entry short, lower high. There's nothing here I really particularly like. Localized high, first entry long, pullback. I was hoping for a second entry long here, but as you can see, this is actually inside of this, so it leaves me a little bit careful. I wanted a bounce off of here with a higher low, so that would make me want to take a long. But you don't quite get that, kind of solves the problem for you. It does confirm nicely the bottom support side of this range. So now it looks like it's just one leg down. Now I'm pretty much just playing range rules, looking for a good setup to try to take a long, go up. And I am kind of bullish bias now because the gap has been closed. It's moving sideways. And on the bigger picture, I thought it was going to be one big leg sideways and then another gigantic push up. So that's kind of in the back of my head. But it kind of comes down, it creates a failed breakout. I'm thinking, could it be corresponding to this? Is this range going to slowly be, verified with more price action kind of chopping within this big blue range? Pushes up. You have a first entry short, technically a second entry short. I'm not really sure what happened here. There's some kind of news announcement made because you can look at the timestamp. This is happening all within a few minutes. Didn't mean to do that. And with some pretty, relatively speaking, large candles. And it gives you kind of a higher low here. So it's like localized high, first entry long pullback, second entry long with a higher low. Technically, by the counts, first entry, second entry, and then you could maybe say, actually, then the higher low would be here, or you could say it's localized low, first entry short, second entry short failure. Nevertheless, I call it higher low area, but the higher low is weak in my opinion because I just came from a fail breakout here, fail breakout here. I'm expecting prices to move back down. So I'm reluctant to buy after the close of this and run into a kind of ambiguous potential resistance zone. It would have worked though, but of course you don't know that in real time. Pushes up. It starts pushing up on what I think is this trend line going up. I later turned into this purple channel, but at the time it was something like this. I collapsed it and I dragged it up to here, and I'm thinking maybe this is a fail breakout here. Then later I established up to here, but I'll keep it here for now. New high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. This could have maybe been a higher, excuse me, a second entry long. I really wanted the EMA to give me another confirmation, but it is confirming this purple up channel. So I guess, I mean, for me, it's an almost trade, but I could see it. If I was more confident in my setup, I would probably call it an actual trade. Let's see here. There we go. But I'll call it an almost trade for myself because in real time, I didn't have the confidence to pull the trigger. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. So pushes up. I had no idea this by gigantic candle would go up. Plus, it just recently made the high of day, so I wasn't too sure. If the EMA had only crept up and gave me a second key entry point, then I would have felt a little more confident. The prices continue moving up. It fits pretty well. No real second entries, and then you just kind of get this congestion area. Looks like it's 2 legs down. There's a potential visual first entry long, second entry long, but it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Doji candle. You get kind of a higher low here, but higher low I'm expecting isn't the cleanest. This is another doji. Then it pushes up. Again, it's kind of testing the high of day. Pushes again. Then it kind of consolidates this localized high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. Now, I was thinking about this in real time. Prices have been pushing pretty hard, up, sideways, up. So is it going to keep going? I don't know. What I really wanted was this candle to have a touch bounce off the EMA, then I trust it more as a first entry pullback, second entry. So after that, I was kind of looking and hoping for a higher low, but the higher low never shows up. And even if the higher low shows up, I'm asking a lot from the higher low because it'd be buying into this potential high and high of day. So even then, I wasn't sure I would have been ready to take that trade. Prices then move sideways, pushes to the high side. EMA is starting to act as support, so something that you could, at least in my opinion, trust now. Breaks, but then the EMA doesn't hold and it starts flattening and prices start shooting down below. When this establishes, I thought, okay, I might be in a range with the confirmations of the high side, and the low side really only has 2 touch confirmations. So I'm thinking we're in a range, but I don't trust it enough to treat it as a full, complete range yet. Plus, at this time of day, I do notice the candles are taking longer to close. So I'm just extra cautious because I don't want to be in a trade longer than I have to, watching the paint dry, because that makes it more susceptible to a knee-jerk reaction, especially in these conditions where the war has really been kind of throwing a lot of news blurps that come out that cause prices to just kind of turn on a dime for no reason, unexpectedly, and it's hard to predict. So the shorter, the less time I'm in a trade, even the better I feel, especially during these kind of turbulent times. So it's localized low, first entry short, second entry short, second entry short failure. I thought it might have been moving up this. Well, first I thought it was a green up channel, test broke the high. Then as this printed, I thought maybe it's moving up this transparent channel. But it looks like now it's kind of contained in this range. Again, EMA somewhat being respected, but of course it never got respected here. It starts pushing up and out. So it's clearly out of this blue range now. Prices were moving up, sideways, up, sideways. My expectation, but it was kind of reduced my thinking. Well, Since I thought I was like, this is one leg up, I was expecting a second leg up. But was it really going to make it to the high? I wasn't so sure. So but I was thinking that's where prices are probably going to try to aim for. So it starts moving up what I think is this yellow up channel. Go ahead and zoom in here. So it's kind of, when this touched here, I had the confirmation. I thought, okay, there's this support side. The resistance side looks pretty good because this is what I'm seeing in real time. No clean second entries. This is a terrible signal bar. I didn't really like that. Looking for a higher low. Get a higher low here. Unfortunately, it closed and matched, making a double top of the high of day. So I'm not going to buy into that. Starts pushing up, has a breakout on this side. I debated whether that was actually a breakout or was it maybe contained here, but I actually liked it down here because it fit much better. Treated as a failed breakout. Wanted to see the price actually create another failed breakout on this side and then reverse and continue up this yellow up channel. Hope for a trade. But considering the time of day, I just decided that, okay, it's going to be a no trade day. Don't try to press for anything. You get the second entry long here, and if this happened during regular trading hours, this is something I might have considered, but the problem is it's a terrible signal bar. You're coming from a failed breakout, unless it really wasn't a breakout or something like this. But I played with what I thought at the time, which was this, and I was thinking, if this creates a higher low, then there would be a trade there. Of course, I'm not going to take it considering the time of day. And unfortunately, it doesn't even give me the problem to even have to think about because it's a first entry long, second entry long, no higher low. If you're counting really, really technical, you technically do have a first entry long here, second entry long. This would be a third entry long. It's bouncing off the support, but the third entry long, it's closing below the EMA, not the best signal bar. It'd still be an almost trade in my opinion. That kind of pushes up and then pushes into the close. So it's been a rather kind of a weird, slow, choppy day. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. Didn't really help. Then ended up really not marking any real trades that I particularly liked. This big gap that opened and opened, flushed down, was closed. Which I mean, if you're playing those kind of trades where you think it's going to close the gap, it would have worked out nicely. But keep in mind there was a few pullbacks here that could have given you, I mean, a lot of pressure because you don't know that it might not close this gap, or if it closes the gap, it might just reverse. In this case, it just happened to go up, sideways. So it looked like a bullish day. So no trades. Hopefully the rest of the week turns out to be a little bit better and gives more opportunities. So hopefully that was helpful.